So welcome to today's video. I have with me Kristy Grigorian from Virgin Cruise Lines. Did I get that right, Kristy?
You nailed that. That was perfect.
Okay, I forgot to ask ahead of time. But Kristy is with Virgin Voyages, and we're going to talk about their ships and accessibility on board. And it's one of those things that there's not a lot of information out there because they haven't sailed yet. So we're gonna get some information from Kristy. She's gonna talk to us and help us understand more about them. So do me a favor, Kristy, let's start with you telling us a little bit about your background.
Sure. So I have had the pleasure of working with Virgin Voyages for 3 years now. So I was with them since before we ever went on sail. But this was my first cruise line. So I came from the hotel world prior to entering the cruise industry. And it has been an amazing opportunity. And again, I'm super happy to be a part of Richard Branson's vision for a new way of cruising. So it's been quite the ride. We still haven't launched yet. So we're waiting for, fingers crossed, this September to be our very first sailing out of the US. So a lot of exciting things to come for our brand.
Yes, there are. And then you got some new ships coming down the pike, and there's just so many interesting things. I'm looking forward to looking at some of the itineraries in Europe as well. Okay, so one thing that I hear a lot in general with passengers they ask about is that it just doesn't seem to be a lot of availability for passengers that need an accessible cabin. Mm-hmm. So do you have any suggestions along those lines? How can they get one?
Absolutely. So what I always recommend is obviously the further out that you book your travel, one, you're going to see the best pricing, but two, that inventory is probably not as full. So for anyone that's requiring a fully accessible cabin, we always recommend the sooner you can call us and tell us that so we can go ahead and auto assign you into one of those cabins and lock it in is always better. So again, I know it's not always a perfect world where you can do that, but the second you know you want to sail with us or on a particular sailing, call us and we will absolutely let you know what availability we have, and we'll get you, like I said, locked into one of those cabins.
Okay, so I got to put a plug in for travel advisors.
Yes.
So actually call your travel advisor. They'll call Virgin. Yeah.
What I mean call us is Ken will call us and do it that way. But no, that's kind of how we work internally as well. So, yep. Call Ken. He'll get it taken care of.
Okay. No, I have to tell funny. That was what I used to have, a travel agency a long time ago, and that was the name of it, was Call Ken.
Yeah. It's the answer for everything. It is.
It is. Yeah. Okay. So right now, your lady ships, do they have any differences in the numbers of cabins on board?
They do not. So our first 4 ships are all identical. So it makes it really easy for you.
Ah, very good. That makes it easy for everybody to figure that piece out. Okay. So now let me ask about this. With some cruise lines, and it's been really interesting as I've done these interviews, is some cruise lines have different categories of accessibility and others have just accessible or non-accessible. So how does Virgin Voyages handle that?
Yeah, so for us, we've got 29 fully accessible cabins on board that go within different categories. So we've got some from insiders all the way up to suites that provide those options. So depending on what you're looking for, we've got, like I said, 29 that are fully accessible. Outside of that, we've got 14 cabins that are ambulatory cabins. So maybe if you're not needing fully accessible, we still have those other 14 as well. So they are only going to vary based on what the cabin category is that you choose. So that's really the only difference there. So it's basically just those fully accessible or ambulatory cabins.
Well, and that's interesting because, and I love that you do that, because in our case, an ambulatory accessible cabin would probably work really well for us, assuming they're big enough I can get a scooter or a wheelchair in. Because my wife, she can walk a little bit, but on the ship, when we're traveling, moving around the ship, she'll use her wheelchair. Mm-hmm. She uses it either as a walker or as, she'll ride in it.
Right.
But on ships, I don't want to take up a fully accessible cabin where they need the roll-in shower and all of those things. Mm-hmm. So that would be perfect for us, as long as we got a place we can get the wheelchair in and out of the way, or the scooter, whatever we're using, then life would be great. So that's very nice that you have those.
Yeah, and that's, again, where it comes in, just talking to your travel advisor about exactly what it is that you need, and then our team can help find them the best cabin. So
Okay, very nice. And I noticed you have some in categories here. So you want to tell us about the category and how many cabins you have?
Yeah, sure. So going to those fully accessible cabins, we've got one that falls into our mega rockstar category. So that is the top tiered suite. So if you're looking to really have that VIP lifestyle on board, that's definitely the cabin for you. We also have another option that's in our entry level suite. So we've got 2 suite options that you can choose from. And then we've got our extra large sea terraces, which give you a larger bathroom and balcony. The bulk of our fully accessible cabins falls in our central sea terrace, which is our prime viewed balcony cabin, essentially. So if you are maybe booking closer in, you'll probably have the best luck looking at those central sea terraces. So you still get the gorgeous balcony space. But in case maybe, I know some people don't like balconies or they want to be on the inside, we've got 2 insider cabins and 3 ocean view as well. So depending on what you're looking for, we've got something that falls into each category.
Okay. And now some cruise lines require proof of need for accessibility. Do you?
So we do not. That's something we cannot ask for at Virgin Voyages. So the way it works with us is anyone that does request an accessible cabin will receive it as long as it's available. So again, going back to the sooner we can get you blocked in there. The good news is we don't auto assign them, like, because basically when you make your reservation, your cabin's typically auto assigned. We'll never auto assign an ADA cabin that's not requested. So that does help with that.
Okay, very nice. You know, it's a good way to at least work on that. Okay, so what about accessible excursions? You know, I know some ports are accessible, some aren't. So what can you tell me about that?
Of course. So what's really nice, especially looking at our shore things, is we've got a variety of them. Of course, not all options will be accessible based on what you're needing, but our most accessible as far as number of excursions to choose from would be our Dominican Days itinerary, which sails to our beach club at Bimini and also Puerto Plata. That's where we have, oh, I'm sorry. I take that back. Riviera Maya is what I meant to say, is the most accessible friendly itinerary in the sense that we have more options to do once you're at shore. Dominican Days is the one that doesn't have any accessible options as far as shore excursions. So you still have it at Bimini, but when you get to Dominican Days, if you're wanting to like actually do one of our excursions, we don't have any for that particular Puerto Plata port, but all of our other Caribbean ports do have them available. And what's really nice is we truly dock at each of our ports through the Caribbean. So there are no tender options there. So everything out of Port of Miami will truly dock where it's sailing to. And so actually, we've got a full shore things brochure online, and it basically talks about or gives them a rating as far as, you know, if it's a heavy walking tour versus, you know, you're kind of going off-roading or things like that to really kind of show that. But our inside sailor services team has the specifics. So if you know you need, you know, wheelchair transportation or anything like that, we can absolutely point you to the right direction of which will be a good option.
Okay, well, very good. And what accommodation do you make for the blind?
So for that, I don't have those specifics, but our sailor services team can assist with those sorts of things there. I'll let them speak to that. I don't have those exact examples. But again, if you tell us exactly what you're needing, we can walk through that and see what we can provide.
Okay. And what about for the deaf?
Yeah, so for the deaf, we've got some great programs in place. We will actually work to have an interpreter on board as long as you let us know in advance. That's something that we'll arrange. So Sailor Services, again, will check availability to have an interpreter on those sailings. We've also got a limited number of TDD kits available, again, to be requested in advance. So always the sooner you let us know, the better. The other nice thing about our cabins is we can have phones hardwired into the vanity desk of any of our standard cabins. So these kits would include things like door knocking, telephone ringing, alarm clocks, smoke detectors, and anything else needed to communicate with sailor services from within inside the cabin. So for the cabin, we've got a lot of things there. And again, let us know if you need an interpreter. That's something we're happy to help with. If we can't get it for that specific sailing, we can also look at what other sailings might be available for it. And then, of course, in our public spaces, we have assisted listening devices. So you'll find them spread throughout, our red room, the manor, our dock house and roundabout, and even the aquatic club, so pool area. So definitely, we like to say, work with your travel advisor. The more we know about what you're needing on board, the more we can prepare and have those options available for you.
Okay, so you talked about the Caribbean ports being all docked. What about tendering in some of the other places, destinations you visit?
Yes, so in the Mediterranean, we dock at most ports. However, there are 3 ports that we do have to tender. So that would be Qatar, that would be Mykonos, and Santorini. But the good news is all of our tenders that we've set up there are wheelchair accessible. So we can help with that. So as far as our Mediterranean itineraries are concerned, yes, there are a few tender options, but they do have the wheelchair accessibility. So really good options to choose from.
Yeah, and that's amazing because in so many cases, tenders are not accessible. I run into where I run into it is like Grand Cayman. You have to tender, and I've been there 3 times, I think, and only one of the times had we had a ship and that had a tender that was where we could get off with Cheryl in the wheelchair. So that's really important. Okay, so what about your spa? Is it accessible?
Yes, our spas are accessible and also our pool area. And we've got different whirlpools around the ship as well. So.
Very nice. And so what assistance is there available for those with challenges?
Yeah, so again, going back to it, our inside sailor services crew is absolutely incredible. So anyone that has challenges or is needing that extra assistance on board, the sooner we know that in advance, we can go through all of the options that are available to you. So depending on what is needed, definitely let us know and we'll let you know what we can and can accommodate.
Okay. And I know you guys haven't started the process working out of Port of Miami, because that would be another thing is, when somebody shows up at the port,
right?
How that all works, but we'll talk about that in the future.
Yeah, so I mean, we are building our very own new terminal at Port of Miami. So once the terminal is built, I'm sure we'll have more to talk about there. But of course, just let us know. We're happy to look into accommodations.
Yeah, and from what you said so far, I think the real key thing is to make your reservation early and notify sailor services early so that they can get all the pieces in place.
Absolutely.
Okay. And so what about bringing bottled oxygen on board? Do you have a vendor you work with, or is there some requirements?
Yeah, absolutely. So we do allow you to bring up to 2 cylinders per cabin. So we know that's important to you. So we've got that in place. If you're needing more than that, we do allow you to do that, but you have to make your own arrangements for transportation to the cruise terminal. We also coordinate oxygen rentals. So with that, you could reach out to Scoot Around or also the Special Needs Group. So those are the 2 vendors that we work the most closely with and recommend. But yes, we do allow you to bring it on. Like I said, you can carry on 2 of your own, and then anything else would have to be delivered to the terminal.
Okay. And then what about peritoneal dialysis? I've had that question asked several times.
Yeah, that is a good question. We get that too. So we do have a full medical facility on board, but they're not adequately equipped for this highly specialized longer term treatment. So that is something we would say would not be accommodated on board, but we do have a pretty extensive medical facility, just not for that.
Okay. And what about food allergies? This is a question I forgot to ask in a lot of my early videos, and it's a challenge, obviously, for some families.
Yes, of course. So with our food and beverage on board, it makes it a lot easier than usual to have these kinds of requests accommodated. So we can really take care of most dietary needs and requests. We have that ability to accommodate most. We do ask if you've got anything outside of, gluten-free or vegan or those kinds of things, to please let us know in advance. That way we can get specifics and let you know what options are there. We are not an allergen-free kitchen, so that's just something to keep in mind, but we can accommodate most food allergy requests. So we just like to note that and make sure that we'll have you taken care of.
Yeah, and again, and that's the key, and that's been consistent across all the cruise lines.
Yeah.
Is that you let them know in advance so that they can make plans, and then they're much better equipped to take care of you.
Of course. And we're a very straight up company. So if there's something we really can't do, we'll let you know. We don't want you to be surprised and show up and not have options. So the sooner you can talk to your travel advisor and they can communicate through us, we can absolutely make sure we get the best holiday for you.
Okay, well, you know what, Kristy, I really appreciate your time being on today. I know you had to buy some time out of your busy time, and I appreciate it very much. And for all of you that are listening, if you haven't gone ahead and subscribed, please do so. If you got value out of the video, please hit the like button. And if you have any questions, I meant to mention this earlier, but if you have any questions, put them in the comments down below, and I'll make sure that either Kristy or I get an answer to you.
Absolutely. We appreciate you listening in, and we hope you sail with us in the future.
All right. Thank you.